You can turn it on, Matty. You got it?
We are live.
All right. Okay. What? Sponsors. Schis, that's what he's saying. He's saying is, this year is a schis for give us a fega for a zivahung for chav besmir, ma'uv besmir, and the dari ben penin peril. Okay. A few things. Number one is Yaakov. Eat. So, happens to be, for those people who do the Daf Yomi, yesterday there was one of my favorite Gemaras, very interesting thing, an interesting story. It speaks about time travel. Moshe Rabbeinu went up to Shemayim when he went to be Mekabel the Torah. When he gets up there, he sees the Rebbeinu Shalom spending time on the Tagim. On the Tagim. On top of the letters, there's some letters that have crowns. And he sees that the Rebbeinu Shalom is spending time, and he asks him, we're ready to be Mekabel the Torah, what's the holdup? So he says, I'm preparing it because there's somebody in the future, his name is Akiva ben Yosef, Rabbi Akiva, who's going to learn out from each and every crown. He's going to learn out something, and I have to prepare it for him. So Moshe Rabbeinu says, 1 second, let me see who this person is, let me see what he's doing. So Rebbeinu Shalom tells him, turn around, and the Gemara says this, he turns around, and he finds himself in the yeshiva of Rabbi Akiva. Again, time travel, a very interesting thing, and Moshe Rabbeinu was over there, and he's watching Rabbi Akiva go through the Gemara with his Talmidim, and it's lightning speed, and Moshe Rabbeinu is sitting there, and he's like, I can't keep up with this. And his mom has Chalisha Sadas. He's like, thinks to himself, if I can't keep up, I'm stuck. Maybe Taka should be given through Rabbi Akiva. So finally, at the end of the shir, he hears Rabbi Akiva say, one Talmidim asks him, okay, so what's the halach over here? He says, the way we go is, it's halach al Moshe Sinai. Moshe Rabbeinu feels good, great. He goes back, turns back around, and he's back with the Rebbeinu Shalom by Har Sinai. And he tells the Rebbeinu Shalom, maybe you should give it through him. The Rebbeinu Shalom says, no, quiet, shtoik. So he says, okay, let me at least see, what's the schar of such a person? So he says, no problem, turn back around again. And he turns around again, and he finds himself by the marketplace where they're weighing Rabbi Akiva's flesh after they killed him. Again, he turns back around and he asks him, what's pshat in this whole thing? Back and forth, what? So he says, this is what I want, this is my gzera, and that's it. But the point that I want to bring out of this whole thing is, why was the Rebbeinu Shalom sitting, drawing those tagim? He could have done in a second, okay, all of them done. What was he spending time on? What was the concept? Point is that all good things, if you want to get them, you have to spend time on them. Same thing when you're learning. The chazara is what gets you to enjoy it, gets you to earn it, and really enjoy what you're learning. So that's just I'm pulling from there. Anyways, let's get back into yesterday's Gemara. We're going to do the chazara. It's from the Mishnah. It's pretty straightforward. We're going to start from the Mishnah and go through until the new Mishnah, and we're going to do pretty much a similar style segment and get from there. Now, first of all, also thank you very much to Moshe, I forget the last name every time, Newgarten, for setting up the Zoom. Really appreciate it. So the Mishnah goes, someone who puts the sukkah, when it says the sukkah means the schach, on the bedposts. Ksher, it's kosher. Rabbi Yehuda says, if it can't stand on its own, psula, it's possible. Now the Gemara is going to go and ask, my time with Rabbi Yehuda, what's the reasoning of Rabbi Yehuda? Why does he come up with this pshat? Pligi ba Reb Zera, Rabbi Abba bar Mamel. So Reb Zera and Rabbi bar Mamel are both arguing on what Rabbi Yehuda's reasoning for why he says it's possible. Chad Amar, one of them says, because there's no keva, it means that there's no firm structure, it's movable, the bed is movable, so it's a problem. One says because it's on a bed, and now once it's a bed is Mekabel Toma, so therefore it's no good. You can't have, again, the schach has to be something that's not Mekabel Toma, but because it's resting on a bed, which is Mekabel Toma, it's also a problem. So my beinayu, so now we understand, very good. So we have two shitas on where Rabbi Yehuda says, let us understand what difference does it make, what shita you go with. So he says, Kegoin, Shenot, Shaput, and Shalbarzel. The difference between them is when you put spikes of iron into the ground. And you put schach on those 4 spikes. It's in the ground, it's implanted, it's not moving. So you have the keva. Why? Because the iron spikes are makabel tuma. So therefore, it is. So according to that one, it's no good. According to keva, it is good. So that's the difference between these two. Comes Abaya. Abaya says, Amar Abaya, lo shanu ela samach. He says, this that Rabbi Yehuda says, it's no good, is only if you put it directly on top of the bedpost. Aval sikech al gav hamita ksher. But if you put it on top of sort of a frame which is on top of a bed, it's kosher. So Bini asked yesterday, okay, we pointed out, Abaya says the same thing like the Mishnah says. What's the new thing it's going to bring out? What's Abaya coming to tell us different than the Mishnah? So I saw the bottom happens to see this huge taisus on the side, she'ein lo keva. So very big taisus, but the last portion really speaks about it. And he says what Abaya is trying to add on. It starts from the Vadiktani, but we're not going to do it inside, but we're going to explain outside. What Abaya added was, according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you put it directly on top of it, right, it was a problem. Why? Because it's direct. Now, the Mishnah makes it sound like if it's not direct, it's okay. So then what did he bring extra? What he brought extra was, there's a picture by Lamed. If you look by Lamed, the first picture on top right, by the page Lamed, you'll see there's like even, it counts 1 to 9 on the picture. The first picture on the right, by page Lamed. Daf Lamed by page, no, not Daf Lamed, page Lamed.
Page Lamed in the pictures.
Yeah. Page Lamed in the pictures. So he has over here, pretty much, the picture on the top right, it says 1 to 9, right? So it says, from the top of the bed, which means from the top of the portion of the bed till the top, if that's not 10 tefachim, technically, anything less than 10 tefachim is considered a dir srucha. It's not a good place, it's no good. So, again, this is jumping out and explaining why. So what Abaya added was that even if you have a place where you would say, okay, let's say there's a bed in there and it fills up the whole space, it would be a problem? No, his addition is, as long as from the ground to the top of the schach is 10 tefachim, it's good, even if you put a bed in there. So he's adding an extra clarification, because according to Rabbi Yehuda, it would sound like it has to go from the ceiling to the ground and you can't have a bed inside. Meaning the bed mattress has to be out, whatever it is. Here he's saying, even if the bed is there, as long as from the top till the ground is good, 10 tefachim, you're good. So that was the addition that he added. So now, Amar Abaya, lo yishonu al samach. This that we said it's no good is only when you put it directly on top. But if you put it like over the bed on a frame, it's good. My time. What's the reason? What's the reason that it's good? Like we said, it's a separate structure. It's got keva. This is not on a structure that's makabel tuma. Like we saw the picture yesterday, it looked like a metal thing, but it's talking about it has to be a frame that is not makabel tuma. Otherwise, it's no good. New Mishnah. That's the end of that part. Again, we're staying in the Sukkah atmosphere. We're going to be talking about more about Sukkahs. So the new Mishnah is going to talk about Sukkah midavlelis. Sukkah midavlelis. And it says, what is that? Taich. Rashi says, the Gemara is going to explain the taich. So we'll see in a minute what midavlelis means. Leave it for now. We'll see because there's going to be a machlekes on what it means. And when its shade is more than the sunlight, ksher, it's kosher. Hamu'uva kimin bias, again, kama, new part of the Mishnah. Hamu'uva kimin bias, if it's so thick that it's like a roof or like a ceiling of a house, right? The schach is imagined as thick as this. What? Whatever, thick, like you can't see through it, right? Then what? Even so, it's kosher. So there's 2 parts of this Mishnah, and that's it. Now, the Gemara says, my midavlelis. What is midavlelis? That was we're trying to get. So we're going to have 2 things. Rav and Shmuel. Amar Rav says, Sukkah aniya. It's like a poor sukkah, which means a sukkah that doesn't have enough schach filling it up. Meaning it's enough to cover, let's say 51%, but it's not enough. It's a poor sukkah. And what does Shmuel say? Shmuel Amar, kana oile v'kana yered. Now, if you look also in the pictures in the back, it's the way to explain it is it's staggered. There's one beam up, one beam down, and it's sort of like a zigzag style look. That's what Shmuel says is miduvlelas. Rav Tani Chada. Rav says we learn one thing from this Mishnah, from this first portion of the Mishnah. Ushmuel Tani Tarati, and Shmuel says we learn out two things from it. So now we're gonna, okay, great. Now what did Rav learn? Rav Tani Chada Sukka miduvlelas, my miduvlelas, miduldelas. What's miduvlelas? He says miduldelas, it is very poor from a lashon dal. Miduldelas. Again, shatzilasa meruba mechamasa kshera. So he's saying, even if you have a sukkah that doesn't have enough schach, as long as you have more shade than sun, kosher. That's what he's learning from this whole first. So he reads the Mishnah, sukkah miduvlelas vishatzilasa. He reads it in one shot. A sukkah that's like a poor sukkah and it has more shade, good. So he reads it in one part.
So the ikka is the shade, not about the...
That's what Rav is saying, that the schach has to be enough that it gives you that amount of shade. So now, what does Shmuel say? And this is how we're going to cap it off. And Ushmuel Tanitati, and Shmuel learns two things from it. My miduvlelas, what's miduvlelas? Mibulbelas, a confused, all mixed up, which is what we said, staggered, one up, one down. That sounds like it's a confused, mixed up type of layout. V'tarti ketani, and yet he learns two things from our Mishnah. What does he learn? Sukka milbulbelas kshera. He learns number one, that a sukka milbulbelas is kosher, a sukkah that's funny where it's up and down schach, that's kosher. And he learns another thing, and he learns the same thing. So he starts the Mishnah, Sukka hamiduvlelas kama, that's how Shmuel learns it. That's kosher. Which is an interesting chiddush that Shmuel basically would say that if you have more sunlight than dark in that first sukkah, the miduvlelas, he says it would be good. So it's an interesting chiddush. He's saying even if you have more sunlight, that would be good. And that's where we're going to be up to today, and we're going to do chazar on it again. So the Mishnah says sukkah miduvlelas, a sukkah that is miduvlelas, like we said, there's two shitas on it. It's kosher for sach. If it's thick, that it's like the ceiling of a house, it's also kosher, even though you cannot see through it, it is also going to be kosher. My miduvlelas. So the Gemara is going to go in and ask, what is miduvlelas? Amarav, Rav says, sukkah aniyah. It's a sukkah aniyah, it has very little schach. It's like a poor sukkah. Ushmuel Amar Shmuel says, kana oile v'kana yared. It has one piece of schach up and one down in a staggered way. Rav Tani Chada, Ushmuel Tani Tarti. Rav learned one thing from it, and Shmuel learned two things from it. Rav Tani Chada, Sukka miduvlelas, my miduvlelas, miduldelas. It's almost like a tongue twister. Again, the miduvlelas, yeah. So Rav learns miduvlelas. What's miduvlelas? Miduldelas. He says it is from a lashon dal, like we said, doesn't have enough shade. Shetzilos doesn't have enough schach. And shetzilos mubechamasa, when the shade is more than the sunlight, kshera, it's kosher. Ushmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Ushmuel Tani Tardi, and Shmuel learns two things. My miduvlelas, mibulbelas, all mixed up. V'tarti ketani, he learns two things out of the Mishnah. He basically puts a comma in the original part of the Mishnah. Mibulbelas kshera. If it's mibulbelas, like we said, one up, one down, it's kosher. V'shatzilas mubechamasa kshera, and if the shade is more than the sun, it's kosher. One interesting point to note happens to be at the beginning of the Masech that starts off in the very first Mishnah, it says something very similar, but the opposite. It says like this. It says not shetzilas mubechamasa kshera. It says if it's not more sunny than dark. It uses like a backwards thing, and the question is, okay, it sounds like it's saying the same thing twice. What do we? So the Gemara, we're going to get to it hopefully next week, whatever, on Amud Beis is going to come out and say, what happens if it's that 50%, 50-50? So according to our Mishnah, it's going to go one way. According to that Mishnah, it's going to go the other way. Just an interesting fact. Rabbi Sai, keep doing the Chazaras and have a wonderful day. Shlami, the Shkar.